Traoré's bold promise, 50,000 free homes. How will he pay for it? Hello, friends. Tonight we journey to the heart of West Africa, where one bold promise has captured the world's attention. In a nation often written off by foreign analysts, a young leader has announced something unheard of. 50,000 free homes for his people. Not a loan, not a handout. A gift built by the hands of Burkina Faso citizens themselves. They call it the City of Dignity, a place meant to restore not just shelter, but pride and belonging. But behind this monumental vision lies a deeper story. One about power, sovereignty, and the fight to reclaim Africa's narrative from those who profited off its pain. Stay with us as we uncover how Captain Ibrahim Traoré's dream could rewrite history. If you believe in stories of courage, resilience, and the will to rise, make sure to subscribe. This is one you won't want to miss. For generations, Burkina Faso has been portrayed through the eyes of others, as a story of hunger, of aid, of poverty wrapped in sympathy. But Traoré's revolution begins by rejecting that story altogether. He calls it the rectification, a movement to rebuild not just a state, but a spirit. They have written about us, he says. They have filmed our suffering, and they have sold our pain. But now, we will write our own story. To understand the magnitude of this moment, we must first revisit the old house that crumbled, the one Traoré insists must never be rebuilt the same way. For decades, foreign corporations carved their wealth from Burkina Faso soil while the people watched from the margins. The country's gold, manganese, and cotton filled foreign vaults, while its citizens scraped by on less than $2 a day. Corruption within only worsened the wound. Contracts were signed in secret rooms, deals that traded the nation's future for luxury cars and European bank accounts. The leaders of yesterday built palaces while their people built mud huts. That betrayal, Traoré says, was the true colonization, one that wore suits instead of uniforms, spoke the language of democracy while practicing domination. He names this system for what it is, a modern colonialism, one that hides behind aid and development loans. Institutions like the IMF and World Bank, he argues, keep Africa chained not by armies but by debt. Each loan, he warns, comes with new shackles, demands to privatize water, to cut farmers' subsidies, to sell electricity to foreign investors. They tell us how to spend, what to grow, and who to pay. That is not independence, Traoré declares. That is slavery with a smiling face. But Traoré's vision is not just about anger. It's about action. And that begins with what he calls a new foundation. 3 pillars to rebuild the nation's soul. The first is sovereignty over resources. No longer will Burkina Faso accept mining deals where 90% of profits leave the country. The government has renegotiated key contracts and created a national building fund to redirect those revenues into development. Some companies have left. Traoré's answer was simple: goodbye. Better to earn less and keep it all, he says, than to be rich on paper but poor in reality. This, he believes, is the cornerstone of freedom, not foreign grants, but self-ownership. The second is a war on corruption. From the moment he took office, Traoré stripped ministers of luxury cars and banned wasteful travel. The people's money is sacred, he declared. Those caught stealing face public dismissal and prosecution. Funds recovered from embezzlement, he says, will finance development, including the most ambitious social project in the nation's history. And that brings us to the third pillar, mobilizing the people themselves. For Traoré, a revolution is not the work of generals, but of citizens. Farmers, youth, volunteers. Every Burkina Faso must build the new nation. Across the country, training centers have opened for young people in agriculture, engineering, and construction. The Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, VDP, once seen only as militia, are now celebrated as protectors of communities and partners in rebuilding. These foundations paved the way for what Traoré unveiled in his address to the nation: the construction of 50,000 free homes, forming a new city he calls La Cité de la Dignité, the City of Dignity. The plan is breathtaking in scope. Built entirely by Burkina Faso workers with Burkina Faso materials, It will be powered by the African sun and nourished by the African soil. Imagine it. Streets lined with red brick homes made from the nation's own laterite stone, designed to stay cool in the harsh Sahel climate. Solar panels shimmer on rooftops, drawing energy from the same sun that once beat down mercilessly on parched villages. Water wells feed each neighborhood, eliminating the need for women to walk miles under the sun. In the city center, not a palace, not a monument, but a public library and a vocational training center where young men and women will learn to code, to build, to innovate. Schools will rise in every district, teaching not only arithmetic and grammar but the true history of Africa, a history of empires, inventors, and resilience long erased from Western textbooks. Clinics will treat mothers and children for free because, as Traore said, no woman should die giving life and no child should die from poverty. And beyond the walls, vast community gardens will flourish. Green oases where each family can grow their own food. Farmers will bring their produce to open-air markets, selling directly to citizens, cutting out exploitative middlemen. This, Traore says, is the democracy we believe in, not the democracy of elections but of dignity, a roof, clean water, food, and work. The financing too is revolutionary. No loans from Paris, no grants from Washington. The funding will come from gold revenue reclaimed from foreign corporations, from money recovered through anti-corruption audits, and from the labor of Burkina Faso workers paid fair wages. The goal is simple: to circulate wealth inside the country, creating an economy that sustains itself rather than bleeding outward. But this project, Traore insists, is more than national policy. It is a symbol for all of Africa. In his speech, he called on the youth of Mali, Niger, Guinea, and beyond. Do not accept the future others planned for you. You are the children of kings and queens. Rise and build, he calls for unity among Sahel nations, an alliance not of dependence, but cooperation. Let us stop begging in Paris, he said. Let us plan together in Bamako, in Niamey, in Ouagadougou. His words have resonated deeply across the continent, a rallying cry to young Africans tired of being told that they are too poor to dream. Yet to the West, his message sounds dangerous. Analysts in Europe and America label him radical, anti-Western, populist. But for Traore, these words are meaningless. We do not seek to be your enemies, he told foreign leaders. We seek to be your equals. And so, as the sun rises over the Sahel, the red earth stirs with movement. Trucks loaded with bricks, young men carrying shovels, women mixing mortar, engineers mapping solar grids, a nation building not only walls but destiny. Whether or not the city rises as promised, one truth remains unshaken. For the first time in a long time, the people of Burkina Faso believe that their story belongs to them again. And in that belief, there is power. In that belief, there is freedom. Because, as Captain Traore said, the time for chains is over. The time for dignity has begun.